the evolution of weapons from rock to nuke. Get in.
All right, so this is the first weapon, probably.
Rock.
It's not a rock.
Oh.
It's a hand axe. Yeah.
I beg to differ. That is not a hand axe. I beg to differ.
Yeah, it's just a rock. Like many very early weapons, we probably used it for hunting and farming, and then someone was like, wait, you could kill someone with this. Boom! Weapon. I know it's just a rock, but it does look kind of cool. Why are weapons cool? We also had sticks and bones.
That is an interesting question as to why we, as humans, find weapons so interesting. You know what I mean? Is it? What do you mean it's Sunless Khan? The channel name is Maximus. Yeah, I don't know why we find weapons so interesting. Like, why do we find curiosity in what can do harm to another person? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Anything pointy, really. Then we started attaching rocks to sticks and unlocked spear, axe, and dagger. So we actually had a lot of the basic weapons down pretty early. But these are really primitive. Literally primitive, actually. I mean, you can only throw a spear so far. But if there's one thing humans are good at, it's coming up with better ways to kill each other. This thing...
Dude, the atlatl is so crazy. I watched a different video from like how, I think it was called like How Deadly Are Atlatls. It's insane. It's actually insane. Just the amount like of extra distance and power you get from just using this little hook. You know what I mean? And the accuracy is wild. Just straight through someone. It's insane.
Added range and power to the spear, and so did the sling for hurling rocks. Skilled slingers were actually quite deadly. The blowgun.
I wonder how good you could get with like a sling. You know what I mean? Like, how accurate could you be? How accurate could you be?
Probably the first air-powered weapon.
People still use blowguns. I watched a guy go into like some rainforest, I think, with like a native tribe, and they hunted monkeys with like a huge blowgun, like just a giant one, just you know, just like literally these little darts into monkeys way up into the tree line. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Australia and Africa and India, the boomerang was used as a weapon.
I'm sorry, boomerangs aren't real, bro. Boomerangs aren't real. No one is using a boomerang. That John is not coming back to you. It is not coming back to you. I've had boomerangs before. It never came back.
Imagine dying to a boomerang. Or even worse, imagine dying to your own boomerang. I mean, statistically, that probably happened at least once. In around 3000 BCE, the earliest armies used a new weapon that would give us unprecedented range on the battlefield. The bow. Mesopotamian warriors like the Assyrians had some seriously serious bows, spears, and... is that armor? Yes, in the Bronze Age, we developed armor to protect ourselves from all the weapons we were making.
Dude, that would be terrifying. The first guy to encounter a bow and arrow, he's running up to you, like, he's coming at you, spear in hand. You know, he's like a football field away, just running at you, getting ready to throw a spear at you. He's just like, what the hell does this guy think he's doing with an orange stick and some string? Absolutely terrifying. I couldn't imagine. You're just cooked against a bow and arrow, especially if they're good with it, like a whole army versus dudes with spears. It's the I can't let you get close kind of vibe.
A nice big shield really helped with all the lion attacks. The ancient Egyptians had some really beautiful, ornate shields. The Egyptians deployed chariots, which provided a mobile platform from which to shoot, and generally looked really...
Dude, chariots and bow and arrows? Insane. Insane technology.
Cool. The axe was their weapon of choice initially, but when they started fighting Middle Eastern peoples, they realized they also needed a blade capable of penetrating armor, and started incorporating one of the most iconic weapons in human history, the sword.
Classic. You gotta love the
The
sword.
ancient Greeks also used a short sword and a very long spear for their famed hoplites in tight shoulder-to-shoulder phalanx formations, with round shields and some truly iconic helmets. Of course, we can't talk about ancient weaponry without bringing up the Romans. The gladius, the pilum, and the scutum are some of the most recognizable
Interesting
and practical
names.
tools of war ever. Not to mention the lorica segmentata and a variety of impressive helmets and standards.
Dude, their armor back then was crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. See, but the thing is, it's like an arrow could still go straight through. You know what I mean? Like, even like a metal armor, the arrow's just boom, punching through. It's crazy.
Need to break down some walls or impale 6 men at once with a giant arrow? The Romans had a solution.
The ballista.
Several, actually.
The ballista, any siege weapon, facts. Facts. Like, who comes up with the idea of the giant tower to deploy men from? You know what I mean? Just push it up over there, everyone comes running out. See, the ballista makes more sense. It's like, well, the bow and arrow's pretty good. Let's just make a bigger one. You know? Let's just make a bigger one. That makes sense to me.
The Franks, Anglo-Saxons, and Vikings all had their own variations of the sword, the shield, the battle axe, and by the 11th and 12th centuries, mail shirts for protection. I feel like it goes without saying, but the Vikings had some very cool helmets, and I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about these. The nasal guard helmet was practical, protected your face.
I do wonder how effective that was back then. The nasal guard, you know what I mean? Because how often is it that, I guess, like, if you're getting struck in the face, like, how much is that gonna protect you? You think it would glance off? You know what I mean? Because I guess your nose does stick out the most. But how often is it glancing off like that when you're getting struck on the nose? It's kind of odd.
And stylish. Looked cool.
They were fire.
In the Middle Ages, the Japanese created one of the most iconic swords of all time, the katana, and
Classic.
the shorter version, the wakizashi, which was worn at the side when the katana had to be removed before entering certain locations. The Chinese had some interesting swords as well, like the dao, which was actually used by the Mongols, though of course, the Mongols were better known for their horseback-mounted mastery of the bow.
Cody, if you want to add anything to the reacts, there's a channel in the Discord now.
The bow played a huge
longbow?
role in medieval warfare. In Europe, we saw the rise of the longbow, which the English would become known for.
It's crazy how it's like if you were raised as a bowman, how your bone structure would change. Like you turn into this creature specifically made just to pull back an English longbow. Like one side of your back would just be so jacked and malformed just in order to draw a bow. It's so interesting, honestly. It's cool, but it's also kind of terrifying because it's like if you lose your bow as when you're like that, what are you gonna do?
Shooting a longbow required years of experience and immense strength, but it revolutionized warfare because even a small group of archers could loose hundreds of arrows per minute from great distances.
Hundreds of arrows
and
a
basically
minute?
decimate armies. The crossbow was
Like actually blotting out the sun amount of arrows. You know what I mean? Not on no 300 chiz, like just hundreds of arrows through the sky, punching through shields and armor.
much easier to use than the longbow, so it took less training and still provided good power. It was perfect for defending castles, but it did have a longer reload time.
Classic
By the late
crossbow.
medieval period, crossbows could shoot 328 yards, or 300 meters. Why does this guy look so sly about it?
Bro, what? Is that imagine how long that's taking to reload. That's like the musket, you know what I mean? It's like you shoot at someone with a crossbow from like 50 feet away. You miss, you're like, hey, pause. Put the bolt in. cranking it back up. Like I thought I thought it was just like the thing you put your foot in and pull back the string. I didn't know they had these cranks. I've never seen that before. Oh, look at the aura from this guy. Holy, that looks sick.
The sword evolved into many familiar varieties during this time period, like the hand-and-a-half sword. The dagger was popular as a quick sidearm, self-defense, or maybe sneaky assassination weapon. Remember, it's always faster to switch to your, whatever. Staff weapons were very popular in this period, as the spear remained one of the most effective and easy-to-use weapons in hand-to-hand combat. But it wasn't just the spear, it was also the bill, the poleaxe, the halberd, the lance, and the bardiche. We had a lot of staff weapons. In Asia, we got the naginata and the santi, an Indian spear that had a convenient guard in the middle to allow for safe pokey-pokey. Make the staff handle a little shorter and you get another host of scary weapons. The warhammer could cave in helmets and break bones behind thick plate armor.
That's terrifying. Stuff like that, like a dude in full plate armor, but then you're just met with a villager with a mace. You know, just caving in the armor and your skull. It's like a ball-peen hammer. You know what I mean? It's like a hammer. Actually miserable. Medieval times are so romanticized, but actually probably the most terrifying and miserable times to live in ever, no matter what your profession is. It's like you're starving to death. Okay, awesome. You're working all day. You're malnourished. You're short because you're malnourished. And then imagine, even if you are a knight or a soldier, okay, you might be treated a little bit better, but then you're in the misery of medieval warfare. Trudging for miles and miles through mud, dysentery, you know what I mean? You're just walking everywhere. You're not on a horse, pal. Don't even think about it. You're walking. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, man.
Ranged mace, the morning star, and the flail are classic and sinister-looking medieval weapons. Meanwhile, the Aztecs were perfecting their own form of deadly warfare. They had the macolhito, a club with embedded blades made of obsidian. These things could decapitate a horse. They also had stone flake.
Did he say decapitate a horse? How is it that sharp?
Throwing spears
obsidian?
And some very stunning shields. Back in Europe, heavily armored knights dominated and wore a variety of legendary helmets, like the Hound Skull Bassinet, the Great Helm, or the Frog-mouthed Helm.
The Great Helm, though, is so hard.
However, the heavy armor and thick castle...
Yeah, I have this in old school RuneScape. Alright.
The walls of the medieval period would soon become obsolete. Gunpowder baby. To the evolution of weapons. The Chinese had been using gunpowder for a while, in fire lances, early rockets, and primitive hand cannons. But now, the knowledge of gunpowder had spread to Europe, thanks to the Mongols. The arquebus was an early firearm used from the 15th to 17th centuries. Then came the
has like a hunting shooting stick, you know what I mean?
Mechanism, which made for a better musket, followed by the flintlock, which made for an even better musket, if you think double the rate of fire is better. When gunpowder weapons were just starting to be used, there was a period...
It is indeed, Chief Beef, it is indeed.
...where we made armor thicker for a bit, and then gave up. This is a pretty interesting era called pike and shot, where you had...
See, honestly, that makes sense, because, like, alright, guys, we're developing gunpowder, let's make thicker armor to protect ourselves. And they're like, alright, it's not working, I give up.
Units that mixed traditional hand weapons, like pikes, with the new gunpowder weapons, and they were actually really...
Yes, sir, I did get a haircut. It's all gone. It's all gone.
Effective.
Dude, what an odd time in history. The blend of, like, ranged combat with gunpowder, but still hand-to-hand with, like, pikes and swords and stuff. So weird. Because eventually, I mean, bows and stuff were just completely phased out, and it's just all from range. It's kind of crazy.
Proved we were able to make some really big guns, like bombards, serpentines, and culverins, and some really interesting ones, like
the cute little cannon
or organ gun.
That's
fine,
crazy.
I'll play
What the
my
hell is
eighth
that?
playthrough of Medieval 2 Total War. You convince me. But despite these advancements, we still use swords. This large two-handed sword was used by the famous Landsknecht mercenary.
Okay, there's no way we were using this sword in 1775. Brother, the US was becoming a country and we're still using the Zweihanda? I don't think so. I don't believe that. 1775? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We were not using this thing. 1500s, I believe. You are not convincing me. You're you're defending one of the 13 colonies, and there's a group of British soldiers, you know what I mean, walking towards you, red coats, and then there's just 6 foot tall, weird looking American guy holding the Zweihander, just drooling. I mean, that would kind of be terrifying. Maybe it worked. Maybe it worked. He just gets in there, starts spinning it around.
To counter the popular pikes of the day.
I see it.
In Scotland, we got the Claymore, or Greatsword, a truly colossal and impressive weapon. And though these larger swords could
Claymore's
be
a classic.
cumbersome, they did have other uses too.
Beheading,
By
of course.
Now we had all kinds of swords, actually. Cavalry swords, basket-hilted swords, hunting swords, small swords, and rapiers. We love swords. We even
Rapiers
came up with
are
a
so
sword that
interesting.
countered the sword breaker. That's pretty cool looking. India gave us the Ayudhakati, which had an almost comically thick blade. Also from the east came the curved shamshir, also known as the scimitar. Another really interesting sword is the kora, which was used by warriors and Gurkhas in Nepal.
See, I wonder what the point of that, like, it almost antler at the end of it is. You know what I mean? What benefit is that giving you?
Daggers were still popular as well, with variations such as the stiletto, or assassin's dagger. I told you they were useful for assassinations. This dagger from India is crazy. The katar is designed to allow the stabber to punch into the opponent.
What?
You thrust it into your opponent's belly like that, you see?
Oh, you're punching. Oh, what
15th
the
century.
hell?
Smart little buggers back then, weren't they?
Meanwhile, firearms were getting much better.
Get
Their
in.
flintlock systems made guns even more
Filthy
deadly,
redcoats.
giving birth to the legendary Brown Bess musket of the early 18th century. This weapon was so ubiquitous, the British redcoats used the phrase "married to Brown Bess" as a shorthand for military service. Then we made little guns, also known as pistols, so now we could duel with dueling pistols.
Dueling is crazy. Can we talk about that for a moment? How genuinely insane dueling is? Like nowadays, you get in a little scuffle. A little, you know, a little mutual combat. Back then, yeah, duel me then. What you mean duel you? Step back 10 paces, spin around, bang, miss wide, look down, golf ball sized hole in your stomach. You got me! And then you just die. Like, brother, it was over a loaf of bread. You can bake another one, I promise you. Actually, an insane thing to be doing. Dueling, that's next level men will be men. You know? Losing your life over a loaf of bread. I mean, pride's on the line, though. Pride's on the line.
We loved guns so much that we tried to put them on our swords. Actually, we put them on everything. Bruh. But I'm going to take a wild guess and say that these did not
Bro, this looks like something from Warhammer 40k. The silver one on the left there? Holy, what the heck?
work very well. But the guns in the next period of history would work just fine.
This is when engineers locked in.
Throughout the 18th century, field artillery started to shift the evolution of weapons yet again. And that would be especially true during the Napoleonic Wars, when one brilliant general expanded and perfected its use. It's no coincidence, Napoleon was trained as an artilleryman. We had many kinds of field guns, howitzers, and mortars at our disposal.
Insane.
In the revolutionary world, we still use swords. I'm telling you, we love swords. Now for infantry, swords have been effectively replaced by the musket, but cavalry soldiers still use them. The sword was a status symbol and could be ceremonial as well. The Ottomans had some incredible
Ceremonial swords are awesome, man. Actually awesome.
swords like the Kalij or the Yatagan. The bayonet was used heavily during this period. Turns out putting our swords on
Bayonets
our
are
guns
classic.
was a good idea. The Nepalese kukri has an interesting forward curved blade and remains popular to this day among collectors and enthusiasts.
What the heck?
Now, interestingly, we still have some people using ancient weapons at this time, like the Zulu, who employed a short stabbing spear and actually won some battles against the British Empire.
Were they winning? Surely not. Surely not. That little spear versus cannons and guns? Are we playing Total War? Are we playing Total Accurate Battle Simulator? I don't know, man.
Eventually,
I don't know if I believe
modern
that.
firepower would win out. This old world versus new world was a recurring theme, as we saw Native American tribes fighting with tomahawks, clubs, and of course...
See, but Native Americans also had, like, guerrilla warfare. You know what I mean? The Native Americans had guerrilla warfare, and they were just crazy with a bow. And they knew the land, like no one else could. So, I mean, I guess that could be true in the other case as well.
The bow. Some from mounted positions, much like the steppe people from an earlier age. Meanwhile, firearms were getting even better. We developed the percussion cap, and eventually, the revolver.
Good comms. Here, we'll go back.
Positions, clubs, and of course, the bow. Some from mounted positions, much like the steppe people from an earlier age. Meanwhile, firearms were getting even better. We developed the percussion cap, and eventually, the revolver.
I mean, revolvers or aura. Revolvers or aura. I have one. They're just awesome. They're just so awesome. Like, revolvers are up there with coolest guns of all time. For sure.
It was a big one. Being able to fire multiple shots in quick succession without reloading greatly improved effective firepower. But that was just the beginning.
Dude, that'd be so scary to see a revolver for the first time. When you've only ever seen, like, flintlock pistols and stuff. Like, someone shoots at you, they miss, they're like, huh, now I've got you, you have to reload. What's that you got there? What's that thing that just rolled in the center of your gun? And then you're popped.
Rifling in the barrels of muskets gave us more range and accuracy, which we saw in the deadly American Civil
Rifling
War.
was a
The
huge
expanding bullet took advantage
upgrade.
of the rifled barrels and doubled the effective range of firearms. The Enfield rifle musket was effective beyond its cited range of 820 meters. Repeaters, self-loading pistols,
Take it easy, Luke.
and breech loaders improved the rate of fire even more.
Repeaters.
The Prussians used the Drace needle gun, a breech-loading rifle, to beat the Austrians who still used muzzle loaders in Königgrätz in 1866. We even had breech-loading cannons by now. With the flood of advancing technology, one of the greatest weapons of war became industrialization, the mass production of arms, and the logistics of supply and distribution. Yes, I know that's not really a weapon. In 1884, a new gun was created that would signal the end of another age of weaponry. The Maxim machine gun.
I couldn't imagine.
With the outbreak of the Great War in 1914, new weapons were invented to break the stalemate that had developed from the testing of the new weapons. Mechanized weapons of war in the air, the sea, and the land appeared. Better machine guns. Better...
I wonder how much of... I mean, I know a bit of history about World War I and stuff, but it's like, I wonder how much of it was motivated by the wanting to test out new weaponry. You know what I mean? Because they're getting all these technological revelations and improvements, but they're like, well, is it actually good on the battlefield? You know, it's like how drones are the most popular thing now in warfare, but we would have never known if the war in Ukraine didn't begin. You know? Because we would have still been doing the same boots on the ground thing. Even if we knew, like, oh yeah, drones can do this, we wouldn't have known the effectiveness.
Artillery, deadly gas, grenades, and flamethrowers were all used in World War I.
Flamethrowers are so terrible, dude.
In the Second World War, infantry soldiers played a reduced role as new machines roared to the front lines. By this point, we had developed a ridiculous variety of guns. Self-loading pistols became popular, along with
1911.
shotguns and an array of rifles, manually loaded like the Mauser Kar-98, or
M1
self-loaded
Grand.
like the M1 Garand. The Sturmgewehr 44 was a German rifle that had a 30-round detachable magazine and led the way for the automatic weaponry of the future. We had sniper rifles, light machine guns, and submachine guns, like the Thompson, which I discovered was known as the Chicago typewriter. Of course, we also wanted to blow things up, and for that we had rocket launchers like the M1A1 bazooka. We had to
Classic.
come up with some better helmets to protect ourselves from all the better guns, and in World War I, it led to designs such as the classic British Brodie helmet. The Germans still used their spiked pickelhaube helmets in the Great War. This was a design going back to the 19th century, but in 1916 they moved to the Stahlhelm. In World War II, the Americans used this helmet, which they called the M1. Creative. And guess what? We still used swords. Well, at this point, they were almost all ceremonial, unless you count the bayonet as a sword, because we still use those.
Dude,
At the close of World
bayonets in trench warfare, like bayoneted trench shotguns. Insanity. Oh my gosh. It gives me chills even thinking about it. Getting your trench rushed by shotguns and bayonets. Brother. I'm dodging the draft.
War II, all the weapons of the past were dwarfed by the destructive power of the nuclear bomb. And that brings us to an end of this video on the evolution
What?
of weapons from rock to nuke.
Already?
Oh,
Well,
I forgot to mention the pistol shield.
what about the
It was a
nuke?
pistol in a shield.
Bro, didn't even talk about the nuke. Actually, goated video. Maximus, aka Sunless. Shout out Sunless. Very good video.